going on, Falcon fan? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with yet another video. This time of the year, guys, our Atlanta Falcons are keeping busy. New regime. We're going to talk about the new hire. The offensive coordinator got hired today. We're going to talk about some roster moves. We haven't talked about that. I'm going to keep you guys updated with everything. Atlanta Falcons still making some roster moves. GM not hired yet, but they still making roster moves. Like I said, we're going to talk about the new offensive coordinator, and then we're going to talk about the 5 candidates for general manager. Guys, remember, we knew about 2. Now the number is up to 5 guys that they're supposed to be bringing in this week to interview. So we'll see, who they narrow down to, decide to make that general manager. But when I'm looking at the guys that they actually decided to bring in, I like the mindset of these guys, and we're going to talk about that when we get to that part of the podcast. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here to talk about these Atlanta Falcons. Hey, shout out to the Atlanta Falcons, media guys, man. They be, showing the little clips and stuff. They showed the new coach coming in, made the ice show him around, man. I don't care. We really don't know what's gonna happen with this, with this new regime, man, but it's exciting. It's intriguing because we know it's gonna be some change. The changes from top down. So I'm just so interested to see how all this unfolds. It start with the off season, the whole player evaluations and how they're gonna do free agency and stuff like that. So this is exciting, man. I know a lot of people is got their different opinions about who they decide to select and things like that. But for me personally, it's like new fresh blood inside the whole organization. So I like it. Right, and it's intriguing, it's interesting. We're gonna see how it all pans out in the long run, but at the same time, for me, it's just exciting, man. So shout out to those guys showing those clips and stuff. Keep us in tune with what's going on. Can't wait the next Tuesday to hear from the new head coach. What he got, what he has to talk about. But man, it's just an exciting time with the Falcons organization. Right, a lot of unknowns, we got to wait and see. A lot of people saying you're gonna have to prove me wrong and all that stuff, but it's all good. That's what it's all about. So this is time of the season and I love it. What up? What's going on, D Dante? What's going on, T Terry? All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about today, guys, like I said, the Atlanta Falcons have been making roster moves. And this is nothing new. They've been doing this for the last, 5 or so years, right? They bring in, and most teams do this as well. They bring in future contracts, reserve future guys. They bring in, these are non-guaranteed contracts, but it does help, bring these guys in, help with the 90-man roster, for us to, when they started going to the training camp. So the guys they have signed so far to the future reserve contracts are Chris Blair. This guy's been here for a while, right? So everybody should know who that is. Wide receiver Chris Blair. He had a lot of, connections with Michael Penix in Michael Penix's first year, right? When he was with the second team. So got a lot of familiarity with Michael Penix, right? They got a punter, Trenton Gill from North Carolina State. DB Tasheen Johnson from Oregon. Defensive tackle Ben Still from Nebraska. Offensive tackle Andrew Stubert from Michigan. And like I said, some of these guys been here a while. Running back Carlos Washington. Carlos Washington probably been here for like 4 years already. Never made the roster, but he has made the practice squad each year. Defensive back AJ Woods, and then tight end Joshua Simmons. Joshua Simmons was a good pickup that they picked up undrafted last year. Guy came out of South Carolina. I think the way Kevin Stefanski utilized his offense, he might be able to find himself a role this year. But the guy, he's the traditional type tight end, can block and can go in pass coverage. So it's gonna really be interesting to see what's going on with those guys. But those right now are the guys that they have signed to reserve future contracts, right? They're non-guaranteed contracts. This does not impact the salary cap at all. They bring these guys in. Like I said, this helps with the 90-man roster. And some of these guys, been in the program, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of stuff's gonna change in his program, right? Unless your defense is on the defensive side, but for the most part, most of these guys, offensive guys, it's kind of mixture between two. But if you're on the defensive side, nothing will change pretty much because you still got Brick here. But at the same time, you know, a whole new regime coming in. They looking at guys different. So that's what these whole new reserve future contracts. But this is new. This is not new. They do something they do all every year. They sign guys that they want to keep on the roster, help with the 90-man roster field for the training camp, and let's see if any of these guys can stick. One thing about these undrafted guys and stuff like that, you always find diamonds in the rough. I mentioned the offer yesterday, and this guy was an undrafted guy, and he's been with the Atlanta Falcons for probably the last 3 or 4 years. So, you find yourself a niche, man. You get in, and you might just be there forever. Another guy that we had brought in, Brian Poole, another guy that we had here. He was an undrafted guy. He was our starting nickel, and I think he went to the Jets, if I'm not mistaken, and started for those guys. So you don't know when you're gonna get your opportunity. You don't care if you were drafted, in the first round, or you were drafted 7th round, or you undrafted. As long as you get your opportunity, and what you do with the opportunity, what matters. Look at the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp. He was 7th round pick out of Savannah State. 2 Super Bowls, broke so many tight end records. So there you have it. You're never gonna know what you're gonna get. So what's going on, Eddie? All right, guys. So those are your future contracts, future reserve contracts, not guaranteed. Does not affect the salary cap, but it's guys that they add to the roster to help fill that 90-man roster for training camp and for OTAs and mini camps and all those good things we people do with the roster, right? So there you have it. Some roster moves there, even though we don't even have a GM yet, right? We're gonna talk about that. What's going on, Kendrick Cummings, man? Buddy, man, what's up, man? All right, let's see here. All right, so let's get into the big news today, and that's the big news today is that the Atlanta Falcons hired their new OC, Tommy Reese. Of course, yesterday I came here and I talked about Atlanta Falcons interviewing different offensive coordinators. However, Kevin Stefanski go ahead and stick with what he knows, somebody that worked with him over the last season, 24-25 season with the Cleveland Browns. So the last 2 seasons, that's Tommy Reese, man. So I know a lot of people are skeptical about this hire because of what transpired with the Cleveland Browns over the last 2 seasons. But we're going to get into his whole resume and kind of get a glimpse of what Tommy Reese probably could be all about, because his other stops he did have success. So even though they was at the collegiate level, but he did have success. The question going to be for the head coaches is he going to call plays, or is Tommy Reese going to call plays? And if I think is Kevin Stefanski said he's going to call plays, I don't think it should be a big deal that Tommy Reese is going to be the offensive coordinator, because in that case, if he does be the offensive coordinator, he just going to help set up the game plan and things like that. Because when you calling plays, it's art. It is actually art. It's a science to it. How you put those plays together, how you set up other plays down the line, things like that. Game plan going in and out, how you're going to attack a defense. So it's a lot of things to do. But when you're calling plays, it's a rhythm to it. And that's why, like I said, I think Raheem kind of screwed himself, because, Zach Robinson probably eventually will become a really good offensive coordinator because he got a smart offensive mind. The problem is that he was new at it, and week in and week out trying to game plan for certain defenses and trying to set things up, man. Because, when you one of those really, really good offensive coordinators, you'll set up plays, and you make they look alike, and you can run like 4 or 5 different plays after that one play, and they all look alike. So that's when you're really, really good, right? Like, it's art, it's a science to doing it. So if Kevin Stefanski, decide to say he's going to actually call plays, I think that would, smooth over a lot of the people doubt in bringing in a guy like Tommy Reese, right? But let's look at Tommy Reese. So in 2015, of course, he was a quarterback at Notre Dame. We all know that. We're not talking about his playing career, but for his college coaching career, he actually coached at Northwestern in 2015 as an assistant. Then he went to the Los Angeles Chargers. Probably at the time it was the San Diego Chargers, right? And he was another assistant, offense assistant. Then from there he went back to college, right? He went back to Notre Dame from 2017 to 2022. He was the quarterback coach slash offensive coordinator during that time. During that time, that he actually led the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to the college football playoffs. So, like I said, he has success there during that time. So that's where you look at and see a guy that's a young guy. He's only 34 years old, so he's still young, still learning, but he has the experience calling plays, right? Like he's not a novice like Zach Robinson was. Zach Robinson actually hadn't called any plays. I think he had called plays during preseason with the Rams, but other than that, he hadn't called any plays. In this case, Tommy Reese called plays for almost 5 years at Notre Dame, right? Then he from there he went to the University of Alabama, right, where he was the OC quarterback coach there, and he helped the Crimson Tide win a SEC title during that time. So, like I said, and of course we know who was there during that time, right? It was Saint Nick, right? So if a guy like Saint Nick trusts you to be his OC, because look at all the OCs he have had that have had success throughout, their coaching career. So, and if man, I just seen that graphic of just looking at Nick Saban coaching tree. It's ridiculous, man. It's a really impressive. A lot of successful coaches in Nick Saban coaching tree going there, teach them how to do stuff. But having Tommy Reese go to Notre Dame, coaching up on the Nick Saban winning the SEC title during that time as the OC and quarterback coach, that's impressive, which led him to come to the um the Cleveland Browns, where he started out as the tight end pass coordinator, pass game specialist, right? He started out when he first got there, then he eventually ended up being the offensive coordinator, right? So, this guy, he has experience in developing talent, due to you look at his time in college, right? Working with young quarterbacks and things like that. And if you look at what he was able to do in college, he did have some high power offenses. Like I said, if you're gonna just look at the 2 years in Cleveland, that's where you start having your reservations, right? Because what they were not able to do there in the Cleveland Browns, and that's going to be the question mark anytime you talk about this whole new coaching regime is, you know, your downs, right? The down years you had, because you have ups and you have downs. Unfortunately for Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Reese here, um, the last memories and everybody thought process is going to be those last 2 seasons, where you have to just look at it in context. And obviously, when the new brass in Atlanta looked at those last 2 years, they determined that it was more than just the coaching, right? To go ahead and make that decision to bring him in, right? Because you win 8 games in 2 seasons, it had to be something more for them to decide to make that decision. So, for whatever reason is, like I said, for me personally, um, I was happy when Pat Ryan became the president of football. I'm gonna just keep and see it and put trust in him and see if it's going to work out for us. That's the way I like it. But I like this. Somebody that's coming in that he's familiar with. That's what you're getting out of Tommy Reese. Um, like I said, for me, the question going to be if he's going to call plays. If he does call plays, um, the head coach that is, I think that'll kind of ease everybody's mind on that. But we'll have to see. But there you have it, Tommy Reese. Like I said, this guy have called plays where he's not a new guy like Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson had never called plays, right? Called plays in preseason for 1 season, but then you put him in against the fire on, you know, first game of the season against the great opponents, and we can't get any consistency going. Hopefully, this won't be the case with Tommy Reese. Like I said, he does have experience. Yes, college is different than pros, definitely. But just having experience, being able to sequence plays, like I was talking about, setting up plays. Everybody knows most of the time those first 15 plays are scripted anyway. Those when you should be just moving down the field. Your first 10, 15 plays always should look really good because they scripted. Everybody knows you kind of know what you're going to, especially if the first play works and then second play, so on and so forth. If your play is working like they're supposed to, you're gonna go right down the field. The first 15 plays, man, you practice those like everybody knows what's going on, right? But when it started getting to the third quarter, fourth quarter, you got to start, you know, playing the game within the game, right? Situation, first down, second down, score, time, all that stuff started to factor in, and now you got to try to sequence plays. So it is an art, it's a science, and so whoever called plays, it's got to be somebody that can really know what they're doing. We know Kevin Stefanski is successful with that. Like I said, one of his most successful seasons with Kirk Cousins, where he was Kirk Cousins threw over 3,500 yards, 70% pass completion. That's off the chart. So um, that was when you can look at it and say, yes, this guy knows how to put a game plan together, know how to call plays and set up defenses. So that will be interesting. But guys, from you, let me know what you think about Tommy Reese. I know we thought they was gonna go out and do more due diligence. They interviewed one guy, but I guess at the end of the day, he was satisfied with what he was getting out of Tommy Reese, and they decided to go ahead and make that hire. Right? It's not 100% official yet. It's been reported by Adam Schefter that that's going to be the case. So we'll definitely have to see how in the end how it pans out. But there you have it, our new offensive coordinator. Only one position left on the staff for the big three, um, and that will be the special teams coordinator. Um, Personally, I don't want him to get the one he had in Cleveland. Hopefully, they can try to find somebody else because I didn't like the Cleveland special team coordinator. So hopefully he don't go to the well too many times with those guys on that staff. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, since he ain't announced him yet, maybe that's not the route that's going to go. But we're going to hold our reservation and see. And if he does, like I said, man, we have to just trust the process now because ain't no going back. It's already done, right? So everybody's upset. If you're going to be a Falcon fan, you got to ride on this hill. I was talking to somebody other day, and this is a stat for you, and I don't think people realize this, right? Because the whole name of my channel is Real Falcon Fan, and this how you know somebody a real Falcon fan. The Falcons had never listen to this. They came in existence in 1966. They had never had a back-to-back winning season until Matt Ryan became the quarterback here. That's insane. Think about it. You have a really good season. You go to the NFC Championship game. You do all this. Then the next season, you have a losing season, right? You go to remember we went to Super Bowl. The next season, we had a losing season, right? You remember we went to the NFC Championship game with Michael Vick. The next season, we had a losing season, right? We never had a back-to-back winning season until Matt Ryan became quarterback. So when you say you're a Falcon fan, right? You really a Falcon fan because we ain't never had something that's consistent and something that you're trying to say every year this team's going to be something good, right? And we're going back down this road. It's been 8 seasons, right? And we ain't had a winning season. So, like, that's insane. So, for all you Falcon fans that stick with the Falcons, I know you real fans, right? Because we ain't really never had shit to cheer about, right? And then the one time we did, it got snatched away from us with a 25-point lead with like 15 minutes left. So, hey, if you're still here, I love you guys because That's why I'm still here, right? Like I said, real Falcon fan. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That stat is always just amazed me when you think of an organization that came in the '60s and they didn't start winning, having back-to-back winning seasons to 2008. That's when Matt Ryan came to organization, right? So when I say he's the greatest Falcon of all time, I can say that because look, the success he had in his tenure here compared to all the other guys, right? So just want that's a little tangent getting on the soapbox about it, but we're just talking about the Falcons. Like I said, man, it's an exciting time. Got a new regime coming in, and we're going to see what these guys do. Right? Have been not one game played yet, so there's no reason to get all pessimistic right off the bat. All right, so let's look at some of these comments before we go to the next. Get into our general manager searches here. Eddie says, what do what I do know I shall say I heard from Stefanski is saying that it may be a collaboration even though Reese want full control of play calling like he had it in Cleveland. This was part of Ochire for him. Okay. I don't know what that means. But we'll see, man. We'll see. We're gonna hear from all these guys. Like I said, from what I've seen, and you can go back and look at some of the little clips of Tommy Reese talking to the quarterback. It does seem that he really know how to work well with quarterbacks, trying to get them where he want them to go. Quarterbacks all about your feet, um, getting your timing down and things like that. So, um, the biggest thing for me is he can work well with Michael Penix Jr. That's one of the most important things I want to do because offense is Kevin Stefanski offense, right? So that's one of the things that we do need to understand about that. Um, Broncos or Patriots winning, man. I don't know. I want to say Broncos because I think people is underestimating Jarrett Stidham and I just believe that I think Jarrett Stidham is actually a better passer than Bo Nix, right? Um, and I think Sean Payton's going to come up with a good game plan to get him ready to go. I mean, that defense is already going to be solid. They playing at home. You playing at Mile High with the altitude. You know what I'm saying? Guys going to be sucking wind in Denver. So you give Denver a chance even though they don't have their starting quarterback. And, Drake May, he made a lot of mistakes last week. He got lucky because CJ made more, but Drake May put the ball on the ground like 3 times, right? Something like that. So, he does, and I think he leads the league in fumbles too. So, those one things you can look at. He's a young quarterback. If they start putting pressure up on him, in that Mile High, big stakes in the AFC Championship game, he could look like a young quarterback again. So those are some of the things you can see. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons took them, pretty much should have tied the game up going into overtime, but we missed the field goal. So there you have it with that. Eddie says there are some teams that's high on Reese, but ultimately chose to come to his home state. We're gonna see, man. We're gonna see what Reese all about. Like I said, for me, I'm just be honest with you guys. I'm always a glass half full guy. I'm not coming in pessimistic because, like, I can't be upset about something that I haven't seen yet. And trust me, changing sceneries, different stuff from my experience, in all walks of life, you go somewhere else, it could be a whole lot better. It could be a whole lot worse. See what I'm saying? So you have to give it time to see what happens, right? I always say grass is not green on the other side, but sometimes you be like, yes, it is. So there you have it. Um, Auntie Joe, what's going on? Thank you for reposting my screen, man. Get some more Falcon fans in here. The ones that ain't mad with the world, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of fans still upset. And I'm like, if you're a Falcon fan, you got to get over it because dude's signed a 5-year contract. If he, only way he be gone if he don't win a game, something like that. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. T. Terry said Tommy Reese was there with Alabama, saying that he was glad Nick Saban got Tommy Reese to Alabama. They said he's going to be a head coach one day. I mean, yeah, he's a young guy. He's 34 years old, um, and know, with these weapons he got, man, he could have a breakout season, and then he'll be gone. Right? That's what happens, right? Um, young good mind comes in. That's why you want an offensive head coach because you don't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? The young, talented offensive lineman. Look at Kyle Shanahan. He can't keep an offensive lineman, man. They already trying to take Clay Kubiak from him, right? But he's the guy, so he can yes, get those guys opportunities to go out and and get promoted, do their things. But no, that 49ers offense is not going to change because Kyle Shanahan is the guy. Word is Stefanski is not only wanting to just a wide receiver coach, but maybe a wide receiver coach with pass game coordinator role too. I wonder who that's going to be. I'm gonna throw a name out there, man, and I'm a homer right now. Go get Mohamed Sanu. He's been coaching. I think he's been coaching, you know, high school or something like that. But he was one of the best route runners. Third down, Mohamed Sanu can get open with the best of it, man. I would love to have somebody like that. But now here I go talking about giving somebody a chance that they got no experience. But the way he was able to get open, you know, especially that Super Bowl year, I would love to have somebody like Mohamed Sanu come in. 50 game plan, 50 talents. We'll see, man. We'll see. Uh, Matt Ryan is acting like he's the new GM. I know he's showing everybody around. They're going to get new GM. I'm going to talk about GM in just a minute, guys, because we got to get that in because Matt Ryan, he ain't ready to do that role. Um, Calling it now, Reese could be one and done home team because he's going to do so well that he will be a head coach at the collegiate or NFL level. Man, that makes her feel good from a coaching standpoint. We would love that being fans. It means we did well if he becomes a head coach somewhere. Uh, Tom will be fine. You need a familiar person or two to help you install. You don't want to have all new faces, man. You want somebody to be able to put your system in. So I do agree with that. That's a great point. Um, I don't care what anybody says. The Falcon beat Brady in the Super Bowl. Yeah, man, they did. They beat them for 58 minutes. We beat Brady for 58 minutes in the Super Bowl. Hey, I have never watched that game again. Matter of fact, I never watched the overtime. I don't even know what happened in overtime. People told me what happened. I have never watched it. When they tied the game up and Tom Brady got the coin toss, I never watched that game again. So I don't know what happened. I know we lost, but I didn't see it. So that makes me feel better. I never seen us lose. I seen them tie the game, but I never seen us lose that game. And when I see it on TV, sometimes they replay. I turn the TV. I don't want to see it. I don't care. I don't care about none of that crap. We lost, man. One of the greatest catches ever in Super Bowl history, and I can never watch it again because I'm never gonna watch that game again. I'm just telling you that right now. And I have never watched the end of that game, so I don't know what happened. Uh, People told me, I think it was James White caught a touchdown, so I don't know. I don't care. I didn't watch it, so I didn't see us lose. So if we lost, I know that's what the records say. I didn't see it. Social media is acting like the Falcons are the 49ers. What that mean? That's good. I like the 49ers. And from Philly area, I can hardly wait to see my Pennsylvania boys, Ryan and Stefanski, will do. They are both best football minds in Pennsylvania has to offer. See, man, see, I like that kind of talk. Sanu can be assistant wide receiver coach only. Okay, I still will. Yeah, bring him in. Right, he can't be the man, but let him be an assistant. That's cool. I feel you, man. We need some experience. I got you. We need to hire the route guard. He trained NFL receivers. Who is that? Who is the route guard? Somebody tell me who that is. So here, say Ricondo, did you see Josh Blank has an office in the Falcons facility? Kevin asked Matt, is that Oh yeah, I wonder what they was talking about. Yeah, he's back, man. He's back. You know, because he was with he was with the NFL headquarters for years. So I think this is his first year back. So I wanted he don't have a role, as far as I know of. But shit, he owned the team pretty much. His dad a team, so he have off wherever he want to have it. So so I'm not even like, what you gonna do? That's pops, man. He probably, this my stuff pretty much. That's probably what he's saying. All right, guys, let's get into our GM. So, like I said, we talked about two GMs, right? We talked about Ian Cunningham, we talked about Josh Williams, right? And that's where we thought they was going to go, right? Now, I got some words that maybe Stefanski and Ryan maybe was having different opinions who they should bring in between those two. So like they opened up the hiring for more, right? So that's what we're gonna talk about today. They got a list of 5 guys that they plan to bring in for interviews. Hopefully by the end of this weekend, we actually get our name for our GM. One good thing about this, the Falcons, they're not, the whole coaching thing is one thing, right? Still 16 need head coaches. So that's why they did that first. And a lot of people was questioning why they went to the coaching first instead of the GM. Well, Atlanta Falcons is the only team that needed GM, so they can take their time with that. Coaching was more important because you want to make sure you get the right coach, right? Um, and then you can take your time with the GM because you still can get the right guy because you're the only one in search of that guy at this point. So there's no competition out there. So that's why they went down that route to do the things they did, right? So the first guy we're going to talk about is Ian Cunningham, and we mentioned him before. So this is not somebody new. Um, I can tell you what I do like about the guys that the Atlanta Falcons got. All these guys have had Super Bowl experience, right? They either helped teams go to Super Bowls, they won Super Bowls, and they was with great organizations that built teams and built their roster. You can see what these teams look like, right? So Ian Cunningham, of course, he's now the assistant GM for the Chicago Bears, right? 1 game away from the NFC Championship. But if you look at the rosters that Ron Poles have put together over these couple of years, especially this year, they had to go in and revamp their offensive line. Once they did that, but you look at all the pieces they had put around those guys before they did offensive line, you could be really impressed. There's a lot of talent in Chicago. You can see it on display. A lot of young talent, and you know, um, Ian Cunningham will help with that. But before he was with the Chicago Bears, he was the director of player personnel with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was assistant director of player personnel with the Eagles. He was a director of college scouting with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was part of both of their Super Bowls. Of course, they won one. The one they lost. So the 2 Super Bowls that they went to against the Chiefs, won and lost. So he was part of that. So like I said, putting a roster together, he actually seen how Harry Roseman put that roster together and was able to construct 2 Super Bowl teams, right? That's what we getting out of Ian Cunningham, that kind of experience that they're getting. And then before that, he was an area scout for the Baltimore Ravens, and he was a player personnel assistant, and he was part of that 2012 Super Bowl team for the Baltimore Ravens. So Ian Cunningham had been to 3 different organizations and seeing three different teams build teams to go to the Super Bowl. That's the kind of experience you're gonna be getting out of Ian Cunningham. So if they was to go down that route, that's the kind of experience you're gonna get, right? That's what you love to hear about a guy like Ian Cunningham. So that's impressive in itself. So I do like the idea of bringing in Ian Cunningham. Um, I wouldn't be mad with that at all, right? Because he's seen it in three different teams, three different organizations, and each team that I mentioned, um, you seeing how they build those teams, particularly with the Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens, that Super Bowl experience. Um, Chicago Bears only been there, for a couple of years, helping see how that team fixed itself, right? Because Chicago Bears had a bad way about them, but the last couple of years, you can see how they built the roster up over the years, the transaction they made, bringing in Sweat, right, bringing in the free agents they had this past year, getting a guy like Roman Dunze, Burton, right, of course, drafting Caleb Williams, just all the stuff they had to do. They had to go through their growing pains, you know, have a tank season to be able to build his team back up. So he's seen that experience as well, right? Not just seeing the Philadelphia Eagles and Baltimore have success for years, but seeing a team go from where they was in 2022 to where they are today in 2026. So Ian Cunningham is one guy. If they decide to go down that route, I think us as Atlanta Falcon fans could be okay bringing in an Ian Cunningham. So that's one of the guys that they're targeting is Ian Cunningham. But guys, it gets even better. Gets even better, right? Next guy we're going to talk about is Mike Bradway, right? This guy enters his first season as the assistant general manager with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now he's been with the Chiefs for a while, right? Since 2018. So he's been with the Chiefs for 2018. I mean the Super Bowls the the Chiefs been to since that time, right? So let's just tell you that he's seen it, right? He have seen it. Um, Prior to that, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, another team, right? He spent 10 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. So what I'm telling you guys, the pedigree of the teams that they're going at, how guys build their teams, right? And with those solid GMs that they can learn up under, they know how to evaluate talent. They know how to make transactions to make the team better, right? I think the biggest thing is being able to manage the cap. And if you don't know how to do that well, you get you a good capologist out here. And I think the Falcons over the last couple seasons they had a good capologist to make sure, because you guys remember when Terry Fontenot took over in 2021, we was in what they call cap hell, right? We was upside down in our contract. We had older veterans that was taking up most of the salary cap. Um, and then we when we did decide to go into free agency, we had to pay Peter to rob Paul. Or I mean, it was bad, man. It was bad. So, but Mike Bradway, you know, is a guy that when I hear Kansas City Chiefs and how they built their team, now they got a lot of room to do now, right? They got to figure out the offensive line, but putting the talent around that their franchise quarterback. Of course, they had All World and Travis Kelsey, um, the great defensive tackle they got, right? The pieces they get, but you go look at some of their draft picks they was able to get as well. Um, they got a great head coach, right? So you just like the way the Chiefs organizations ran, as well as the other team he came from, the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's what we're getting out of Mike Bradway. He was just announced today. Um, I think he's going to have an interview this week as well. Hopefully it's this week because we want to go ahead and get this general manager solidified and bring in. But man, this guy has been there since 2018. So he's seen the whole success of the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they've been to what 5 Super Bowls since that time. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So assistant general manager, right up under the general manager at the Kansas City Chiefs. Another good selection, guys. Another good selection. Didn't know nothing about him until they mentioned his name today. But when I hear Kansas City Chiefs, I hear where he assistant general manager. He's assisting building this team the right way. So Mike Bradway is the other guy the Atlanta Falcons are bringing in. Once again, somebody with Super Bowl experience. All right, let's go to the next guy. Another guy we talked about previously, Josh Williams, with the San Francisco 49ers for 15 seasons. 15 seasons, right? He have done everything with the 49ers, right? So he have seen everything you can do about um, player evaluation. So he started in 2011, um, scouting assistants, 2013 pro personnel scout, 2016 National Footballer Scouting representative, 2017 area scout, 2022 national scout, and today he's the director of scouting and football operations. So you get a guy like Josh Williams, you get somebody that knows all about scouting players and things like that. Scouting players, like I said. So he's the pro scout thing. I don't see any pro scouts here. I've seen it one time, right? So free agencies is like you look at Terry Fontenot, he was really good at pro scouting, right? That's why you look at the free agents he brought in, he kind of nailed that mostly every time he had those guys. But this guy here is probably going to be really good bringing in our draftees, right? Because of his experience looking at looking at a lot of film and a lot of scouting information. And my question would be for him is his philosophy, right? His philosophy on best player available, um, scouting for need, right? That's what you want to see, what his philosophy is, right? Because every team does it different, right? You go out, we look at a guy like Austin Newsom from the Baltimore Ravens. I think they always went best player available, right? That's how they get a Lamar Jackson at number at in the first round at number 32 when you already had a quarterback because you're taking the best player available, and the rest is history when you look at that. So definitely want to see his philosophy, but his experience, for 15 years in one organization, a successful organization, seeing how they have built this team up throughout the years. Um, Numerous Super Bowls, haven't won one, but a team that's been to the NFC Championship change a numerous times, teams that consistently be stays in the playoffs. Um, he's seen the player, and this right here, the most important things, guys that sustain a lot of injuries and being able to create depth on the team in San Francisco is really important. What Atlanta Falcons kind of have not been able to do over the years is, create depth, right? So they're able to do that. That would be huge because he's seen that as well. I mean, team that lost numerous starters this year and almost made it to the NFC Championship game. So, you know, kudos to the organization, but having a guy that's been here this long, um, to see how it's done, he would definitely be, a candidate for the Atlanta Falcons as well. And now you have Williams. The next guy is probably the most interesting guy of all, and that's James Lifford. I don't want to mess his name up, Lippeford, whatever. But anybody know the pronunciation, just let me know. But um, this guy here, prior to joining the Texans, he spent 9 seasons with the New England Patriots. Once again, guys, organizations are excellent. He was part of 9 division titles, 4 AFC championship games, and victories in 2 Super Bowls. Right? I'm pretty sure one of those Super Bowls is probably when they beat the Atlanta Falcons. So just saying. So but the experience that he has been part um of a winning organization, how to put a team together, right? And you think about how New England Patriots put together. They don't go out and try to get really, really, you know, popular players and things like that. They go out and get guys that they know that works to what they need them to do in the system. Of course, Bill Belichick had a lot to do to that over the years, but man, this guy has a lot of experience, seeing it done at a high level for years and years and years. Um, 9 division titles, 4 AFC championships, and 2 Super Bowl victories. That's the experience that if you're bringing in James Lipford, um, that's the kind of experience you're going to get for him. So, and the idea of Matt Ryan, going out and getting all these guys that have seen success, being with successful organizations and pulling all these guys in, man. I just like the way um, their processes they're taking with this. Right. At the end of the day, it still might end up being the two that we talked about, but the idea of going in and bringing in 3 more new candidates to add to get the best guy available is the way they should be doing this thing. Just like they interviewed 10 head coaches, you know, the idea of going in and interviewing all these GMs candidates is big to me. So, you know, at this point, I don't have a favorite. Like I said, it's who comes in and give the correct, you know, vision for how they want to help build this Atlanta Falcons team, right? Because those other teams that they was with was built different. Atlanta Falcons is going to be built a certain way. Um, my vision is to build around the young quarterback the best you can, and that way you don't need your quarterback to do so much. That would be my vision, right? You don't want to have your quarterback have to be Superman. You want to build a great team around your quarterback, and then once he hit his stride, then you can kind of flip it later on down the road. But when you got a young quarterback with on a rookie salary, I think you should build it that way. And if that's the game plan they want to try to bring in, that's what I would, thinking somebody would do something like that. So, um, James Lipford, come on down, big dog. We seen your resume, and it sounds good. You know what a winners look like. So, and then the last guy that they announced that they're going to be interviewing is Andy Wild. Um, Currently the assistant GM for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has 24 years of NFL scouting experience, right? Guess what team he was with? The Eagles before that. So once again, he's with the Eagles. He's with the New York Jets, right? So he promoted the director of player personnel with the New York Jets, but he was with the Eagles before that. Um, and they won the Super Bowl that year. They beat the New England Patriots. So once again, this guy has had experience, and a lot of these guys with the Eagles. So the whole Philadelphia kind of feel with Matt Ryan and Kevin Stefanski little going to get guys from Philly. It's kind of interesting, but um, Andy Will currently with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's essentially GM with them. Um, we know they know how to build talent. They don't know how to pick quarterbacks, obviously. Well, take that back. They didn't try to go get a quarterback, but they put talent around around their team to be successful year in and year out. I mean, we talk about Pittsburgh Steelers who haven't had a losing season in 19 years. So um, another guy that's well respected around the league. Like I said, 24 years of scouting experience. A lot of people is really thinking highly of him to come in. Um, it's going to be interesting to see the vision that they marry up with the coach, right? What he's trying to get done here in Atlanta, and because according to what the owner said, that's one of their main focus is bringing the correct GM in to have a shared vision with the coach and with Matt Ryan, so they can all be on the same page, right? So with those 5 GM candidates that they announced, um, all those guys have seen winners. All those guys have helped been part of winning cultures throughout their careers for the most part. Um, and you bring that winning mentality, that winning culture to the Atlanta Falcons, where, like I told you guys, um, only had probably a 8 year span of consistent winning in this organization, and that's a shame because we have had some talented players that come through here, but no consistency to say um, that we have had probably, like I said, maybe a 6 year period of Matt Ryan's career. Because even Matt had losing seasons. So, but the consistency that's been the longest is been during that time from 2008 to 2016, 2017. So from a 9 year period, 2008 to 2009, 2017, that period there is where the Atlanta Falcons have their most success for a longest period of time. Because remember, we haven't been to the playoffs since 2017. So um, bringing in somebody that's seen it done over and over again and what it should look like, how to build a team, um, and have that shared vision with this new front office core coaching staff. Let's see who they decide to pick. So let's look at some of these comments here. See if anybody already got their guy. It says Blank wanted his son to be involved because he's getting old and want to lead the team in good hands. Of course, like I said, it's just Josh's team. You know, he's going to be the new guy. He's going to be the new owner eventually. The Pittsburgh assistant GM has been interviewed. Okay, there you go. So they already got one down. Well, I guess they didn't like what they hear. I mean, they wasn't completely sold because they interviewing other guys. Um, Man, Ricondo, I see the Falcon fans are not attending the games until they start winning games. There are no hype in the coaching staff. I can't get excited. Well, for everybody, I want to tell everybody that don't want to go, y'all ain't real fans. You're not real fans. I just sit here and said that the Atlanta Falcons have not had consistent winning for only a 9 year period, right? And all of a sudden, you're not going. Like, you're not real fans. Like, that's what I mean. Like that's why I created this channel. I created this channel because of people that's like me, real fans. I'm just be honest with you, because we never had nothing to cheer about, and I've been here from day one. And every time we have a losing season, I'm still here. I'm a real fan, man. So, and I way I feel about it, if we ever win, I'm gonna be so damn happy because I stuck it through, right? Atlanta Falcons, the city of Atlanta is fair weather fans. Really, that's the honest truth. Fair weather fans, you, and you that's when you come when you start winning, right? Look at these other organizations, man. Look at the Cleveland Browns. Look at their fan base. They never win, but they fans are loyal to them and stuff. Our fans are wishy washy, and that's why, you know what I'm saying. That's why nobody cares. Like, because you wishy-washy. Yeah, I get it. I understand. We're not winning, but we never won, right? That's the point I mean. That's why I created this channel, because I wanted to create it for the real fans, right? And that's who I'm talking to. If you're a fair weather fan, that be it. So when we start winning, I guess I'll see you then. But I'm gonna be here no matter what. So I get it. I'm just telling you this, speaking from, like I said, real Falcon fan. That's why my channel is called that, because I be here. I be watching games when we got one win. I still watch games because I want to see what the team, some promise somewhere. Man, that's what I do. I wish I wasn't like that, but I am. So like when back in the days when the Aints had the fans to come to the game, but they had the bags on their head, like those are real fans. They embarrassed, but they still at the games, right? You go to the Raiders, you got the black hole, right? You go to the Eagles, go to the Green Bay, you go to the Steelers, you go to the Cowboys, who ain't won in 31 years. Those are real fans. Like y'all Atlanta fans, y'all fair weather fans. And that's why they say our fan base ain't where it needs to be, because you guys talking about when they start winning. They never won. When have they won anything? So like if you're a fan, you're a fan. I'm just saying, man. I'm just putting it in perspective. So, John, for the fans that don't want to show up, don't show up. When we start winning, I guess I'll see you guys there. But I'm gonna be there. That's it. It is. Ricardo, keep in mind, Andy Reid makes a lot of personnel decisions for KC. Just to know, yeah, talking about for Bradway, of course he's gonna have a lot to say so, right? I mean, 3 Super Bowls, all those NFC Championship titles he been to, Super Bowl he went to with the Eagles, and the Reed definitely gonna have a say so. You say Josh Williams would be the guy. That background, key building, continued success. Right, he have seen it for years and years. Like I said, honestly, guys, I don't have a candidate that I would say go get, right, because all these guys to me is top tier, and just look like what they went in interview, top tier guys to come in and take the spot. The most important thing is the collaboration with the coach and Matt Ryan. That's what you're gonna look for, because you want to get the right guy here, so you won't be bumping heads and things like that. So that's what I'm saying. I want Ian, the guy from Pittsburgh, or for the guy from Pittsburgh. Okay, somebody got their pick. Andy Well is my choice. There you go. Um, this is great news. I needed this. Yes, man. Yeah, they going. They're doing it the right way this time, right? They're not just going out and hiring, getting one guy. Usually, when you hire a GM, they go single on one guy and I want that guy. No, man, they're going through a process, right? And you can trust when you do a process, you're getting the guy that you want, that's gonna that you felt was right. In the end, it might not be right, but when you go with going through the process and doing it the right way, you feel better about the whole thing. So, but old man Blank just want Ryan and Stefanski to agree on a GM that they all collaborate with all together. Facts. That's what they want. 100%. Um, support the team no matter what. That's what real fans do. But he just said, you support the team, man. Like, hey, if you didn't get your guy, it's all good. This guy better play, do what he's supposed to do. And if he don't, we're gonna call him out for it. I don't come on here and you know congratulate the coach. I kill the coach. I kill bad play calling. I feel bad coaching. You know, I feel it as a real fan. I feel it more than they feel it. So I'm gonna call them out, but at the same time, I'm gonna root for them when they do well. Right? I have defended pretty much every coach that we don't have so far. I defended Arthur Smith until I couldn't defend it no more. I defended Raheem Morris until I couldn't defend it no more. Right? I'm gonna defend Kevin Stefanski until I can't defend him no more. Just the way it is, man. I remember back in the day, Atlanta, when children wore Riddle jerseys, Riddell jersey pass. It was a fad. I love the Falcons. There you go, man. It's all about the Falcons, man. I still remember the Fulton County Stadium, man. I remember that. Um, I know the 49ers in our divisions. I don't know how many people remember that, but 49ers in our division, right? And that's why everybody was so upset with Dion because, he left the Falcons and went to the 49ers. And because that's who I used to watch in the playoffs when the Falcons never went. I used to watch the 49ers and Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, and all those guys because they was in our divisions with the Aints. The Aints always been in our division. Tampa Bay, for you guys, Tampa Bay didn't used to be in our division. They used to be in the Central. I think it was NFC Central division back in the day. But Tampa Bay, they when Carolina came, they created the South, right? So they put all the Southern teams together. But you know, go back and look at the old divisions. You'll see what I mean by those. But yes, the San Francisco 49ers. Was it the Rams? I think the Rams. I think it was the other team. The Rams, the 49ers, the Saints, and us in that division, if I'm not mistaken. Um, said Jai Blank has been in on all the choices. Yes, he's been there. They mentioned that he was in the interviewing room with the coaches and the president of football as well. So he's been in all the choices. Damar said 49ers will always be my rival. Yeah, because that's who it was back in the day, man. You're right. It was the 49ers. But really, the real rivals will always be the Aints, man. You go look at that, right? We got a 2-game lead on them now, but that's how tight that rivalry is, right? I think before the season started, we was both 56 and 56, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But that's how close to that's the rivalry, guys. I'm just being honest with you. When you talk Falcons, the Falcon Aints. The players know it, the fans know it. It's a good old time. If you never been down to a game in New Orleans, um, it's really fun down there to go to that game, especially when you win. Last time I went, we didn't win. That's when Cool missed those 3 field goals. That was recent, but um, yo, that's the true rivalry, the Aints, man, and that's why I'm happy this year because we beat those guys twice. So hey, we beat the Aints twice. You know what I'm saying? So I love it, man. We beat those guys twice. That's why after all this, I've been at a game, bunch of Saints fans around, and I just tell them like, look, y'all our Super Bowl. We ain't going to playoff, but we beat y'all. We happy. So we'll go home happy this week. That's how we feel about it, right? So that's how we feel about when we beat the Aints, man. And we beat them twice this year. So you know, I ain't want Tyler. That's the word out. Man, he better not. He did that what Devontae Freeman did. He better not go to the freaking Aints, man. He better not go to the Aints. I'll be upset about that. Matter of fact, how much cap space? I don't even know if they got enough cap space because they might be still having cap issues over there in New Orleans. So he need to go to AFC. If Tyler not coming back to us, he need to go to the AFC. Do not come um, to the, you know, especially to the NFC South. It's like Zach Robinson going to Tampa Bay. I hope he does, man. Like I don't like that kind of crap. Okay, um, let's talk about the whole little hoopra that came up yesterday when Deolano Ledbetter put out about the Cleveland Brown quarterback situation, and then Baker Mayfield chimed in. Man, I love that kind of stuff. I love that. That creates rivalries, right? That creates like makes the game bigger than what it is on Sundays. They remember, guys, they playing a game, right? So you want to have those storylines and things like that, and you want to have that hatred going into you know that week of playing football. Tampa Bay, I would never really had no animosity against them, but since he want to try to take it there, I mean, you ain't won but one game, man. against the Atlanta Falcons since you've been in Tampa. So, and that was the game you just won, the first game of the season last year. You have lost all the games against us except that one. So, like, don't act like you've been dominating us. You have not been dominating us. Just want to say that, Baker. Um, but I love that kind of stuff, man. Let's create the rivalries, right? Um, some of these teams they don't like each other. You know that, and I like that kind of stuff, right? Let's make it nasty. Let's do that. So, um, people trying to make it big as what it is. You know, like I said, don't put like your personal feelings into we talking football, right? You can have your feelings and stuff like that and all kind of stuff. Like for an example, like I'm going to record to you guys. I love Deion Sanders. He's my favorite player, Falcon player ever, hands down. Right? The jersey I wear to every game is a Deion Sanders jersey. Right? If you guys see me at the game, you're gonna see me in a primetime jersey. That Deion Sanders is my favorite player, but that has nothing to do with them hiring Kevin Stefanski and the idea that people tried to utilize that to try to say the reason it wasn't a good hire and the culture and all that stuff. It's football, man. You're trying to hire the best football guy. That's what they did. It's not about all that, right? And then, I followed those guys. I followed Colorado. I followed Shadur's career. Like, I watched Shadur play every game he played, right? Because I want to root for it. So, but I'm not going to have any animosity because I'm going to tell you that Brown situation was the dumbest situation in the world, right? You have two veteran court. They screwed it up. The organization is just bad. They had Deshaun Watson on the contract, right? Then they brought in Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, and then you decide to draft two quarterbacks. That is dumb. That is dumb. They were going to be a mess all the way around. I don't understand why they did that. And word on the street, Stefanski did not want to draft Shador, right? He was forced to be able to deal with that situation, and he handled it wrong. I admit. I think that once you got all those quarterbacks in the room, then make it fair, then make a quarterback competition. But the question I ask anybody in this situation, if they telling you in charge of the team, you gonna run the team how you want to run it. He didn't want you to do it, man. That's just a fact, and he screwed him over. I agree with you guys 100%. But that's the organization fault. They should have never drafted him. They should not have never drafted him. It was messed up. It was unfair to Shador. It was unfair to the coach as well because you're making a guy play somebody that they didn't even want on the team. It's not fair to neither one of them. It wasn't fair to Dillon Gabriel because that's the guy he wanted to go, and that's the guy he wanted to play to see what he had, right? But they forced his hand. They got rid of Joe Flacco. They got rid of Kenny Pickett. They did everything they could to make that chaos in their organization. And Kevin Stefanski probably didn't like it because he didn't want to be part of that. And it was a mess, man. Like, and now you got coaches bowing out, going to interview for the job because it's still going to be a mess because they still got all that chaos there, right? So, like, I don't know if any coach would want to deal with that, right? Like I said, if you pick your guy, and granted, he picked the wrong guy. Dillon Gabriel is not good, but that's who he picked, right? So what you did what you do with you pick your guy, but then they say, you know what, we're gonna pick another guy, right? And in the meantime, we got two quarterbacks on the roster already, and we got a quarterback that's recovering from Achilles injury. That's crazy. That is crazy. What organization got 5 quarterbacks on the roster? Don't make no sense, man. And that's what they was dealing with. That's why coaches do not want to interview for that job right now because they still got a miss. Because you got quarterback coming back off Achilles injury that you still owe $80-something million, and then you still got those 2 young quarterbacks. that neither one of them going to get developed. Like, it's crazy. That is a crazy situation. And I know he was glad he got out of there. And I don't hold that. I kind of I don't like the way he treated Shadur. 100%. I agree with you guys on that. But honestly, man, if I didn't want somebody and you put him on my team and I'm the coach, I probably would do the same damn thing. Just being honest with you, I didn't want him on the team, so why would I? He was forced to play in those last 7 games. I guarantee you, if it was up to him, he wouldn't have played because he wanted to see what Dylan had. And like I said, he made a mistake because Dylan ain't good. So I don't know what he thought he saw in Dylan Gabriel, but guys, that's football. That's who as your coach, you want who you want on your team. You're gonna play who you want to play. You know what I'm saying? So that has nothing to do with being personal, not being racist, and nothing like that crap. All that stuff, the negativity that we be hearing around that, it has nothing to do with that, right? I want Shador to fucking go out and ball out and do what he does, right? I want to see that because I think the kid got talent. He got put in a terrible situation in Cleveland, but so did the coach. I'm telling you, he got put in a terrible situation too, 100%. So that's the way I look at it. Um, but like I said, I root for both of those guys. I hope Colorado show out this year. I hope Shador get opportunity, man. But now they're not even 100% sure he's gonna be a quarterback again. So hey, he might have to go to another team, and probably is good for him because that team, that organization is a mess. The fact they can't even get a head coach, right? That's the only team, that's out of the 6 teams. Nobody don't know who's going to be the head coach. Who's the favorite? Probably Jim Schwartz because he's already been there. But then who's going to be his OC to deal with that quarterback crap? So, so I just wanted to put that out there, guys, um, because we starting over. We got who we got, and we're gonna have to deal with what we got. So look at these last comments, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Let's see here. Where did I leave off at? Right here it says, yeah, I already read that one. Josh Green. T. Terry says, I love it too, my brother. That's because we play organized football in some form. Yes, sir. He says, Brian was the man when I played football. They used to call me Showtime. Okay. Y'all know Primetime got his name. He got his name playing high school basketball, right? He didn't even get the name Primetime playing football. He got it playing high school basketball, right? Yeah, the guy was just man. He probably the greatest athlete, one of the greatest athletes ever played the game, 100%, right? Played basketball. Of course, we know he was freaking one of the best baseball players. Guy hit an in the park home run, right? Batted like I think he batted what 500 in the World Series, something like that. Just ridiculous, man. He was one of the greatest athletes ever, man. Him and Bo Jackson like 1 and 2 or 1A 1B, but that dude was amazing, and that's why he like I said he's my favorite Falcon of all time. Yes, he was only here 5 years, but man, he's my favorite Falcon of all time. Bro, that's what all the GMs doing. GM stated that the responsibility for players to be drafted should do a 5th round. Even the owner didn't want him, but wouldn't rule his GM craziness. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it was just insane. That was insane. Like, and I'm happy they drafted him. Don't get me wrong, because it looked like nobody was going to draft him. So I'm happy he did get drafted. Don't get me wrong on that. I'm glad, but that was the wrong place because they already had a mess, man. They said, Raccoon did you hear Dylan might come to the man? He's not coming to the Falcons, man. People just put out rumors. Dylan's not coming to the Falcons. That's not the key. He's not going to be there. No. Now I'm telling you, then I might start getting mad. I'll be mad. I ain't leaving the team or nothing, but I start getting pissed off a little bit. I ain't gonna even lie. Stefanski knew he was finished once the GM told him Shadur was to start for the rest of the season. Yeah, pretty sure. Like I said, yeah, he had to do that. But then he worked with him, man. That's another thing too. People say he tried to screw him, but he actually worked with Shadur. Shadur will admit that he worked with him, stayed late nights to help him get ready for game plans and stuff like that. So he did all that. Now you see why Atlanta is being patient on GM to work out. Yes, because you want to have collaboration, man. You don't want nobody to override you and do some crazy shit like what Andrew Berry did, and then they put it all on you because he probably like, I ain't proud of him. He ain't my guy, but y'all want me to deal with it and then think about it. We knew what it was gonna bring. Shadur fan base is we see it. We already see what it's like and what they're doing to this hire for the Atlanta Falcons. They ain't got nothing to do with the Cleveland Browns, and so his fan base is enormous, right? Enormous. So, um, hey, he didn't want to deal with all that crap, and a lot of other teams didn't either. It's probably why he didn't get drafted. Do you consider us in a rebuilding phase? That's a great question. That is a great question. You said, do I consider us in a rebuilding phase? So, um, no, I don't think we're in a rebuilding phase. But I I'm just a believer is you don't have a quarterback, you ain't really doing nothing. So until they figure out who the quarterback is, um, it's gonna be tough, man. I mean, you look. I really believe that Arthur Smith hurt himself because to go 7-10 with some of those teams that we had on Arthur Smith. Because remember, we had cap issues when we first started the first two seasons with Arthur Smith. The third season was the season we were supposed to do something, right? But the quarterback play was never where it needed to be, right? Desmond Ritter pretty much got Arthur Smith fired when he went 12, 12, and 12. 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 12 fumbles, right? He got Arthur Smith fired, but the team I felt was good enough to win the division in some of those seasons. The quarterback play was just not good enough, right? It was just not good enough. These last two seasons, it wasn't a quarterback play. What made us not win? Quarterback play was good enough these last two. Well, we'll take that back. Last year, that 5 game straight Kirk Cousins had killed us, right? When he had those 9 interceptions, 1 touchdown, that did kill us. But this past season, 2025, the quarterback play did not the reason why we it was not the reason we lost games. It was not the quarterback play. It was a lot of more other issues. I talked about those third down, um, special teams was atrocious, right? Um, couldn't get out the field on third down sometimes on defense. Stuff like that would hurt us more than quarterback play. So, but when you ask me if we're rebuilding, until we figure out a quarterback, and that's why I said the vision for me, for the coach and the GM, is to build a team around the quarterback. So you're not asking the quarterback to do so much. Like put in perspective, if you watch the Houston Texans play this weekend, right? If CJ Stroud just be a game manager and don't turn the ball over, the Houston Texans win that game easily because their defense was so good. CJ Stroud pretty much gave away the game. If CJ Stroud just don't turn the ball over, just manage the game, they win that game. And that's what I mean. They didn't need CJ Stroud to be superhero. They just need him not to turn the ball over and manage the game. And that's what I'm talking about. So you build a team around um, whoever your quarterback's going to be. Hopefully it's Michael Penix, right? But you build a quarterback around him and you not ask him to do, you know, Herculean superhero stuff. Just him make the throws you need to make. Don't turn the ball over. Control the game. That's what you need. That's what you're asking for. So it's not a rebuild, but they need to build it the right way. And if they do that, they'll really be good. Um, Now the GM of Cleveland has stated that Shador is not going to be not going into next season as a starter. He's going to be look for better. Yeah, see they already looking at other situations. But see the problem with that, because I just talked about it. Shador is so popular, right? Whoever that starts there, they start not to play well. You're going to start hearing everybody say put him in. So you have to deal with that. Honestly, personally, and this just this not football here. This just me because I like I said I like Shador. I just wish they'll name him the starter, give him offensive line, give him some weapons, and see what he can do. That's what I wish they'll do, but they probably not going. They're not going to do that. So, um, Stefanski is a sportsman. He physically apologized to Shador publicly about all this crap that went down. Yeah, he did, man. He, like I said, he did not want Shador, man. Everybody knows that. And like I said, for a head coach of an organization to be forced to have a player, I mean, look at Brian Flores didn't want Tua. He didn't want Tua, right? But he got forced to get him, right? And Tua said he treated him like shit. He probably did because he didn't want him. Like, I didn't pick you. Like, I didn't think you were really good a quarterback, right? Nobody calling Brian Flores with all kind of names, right? He didn't want Tua. He admitted it, right? He wanted Justin Herbert, and they just picked Tua and said, right? That's noted. That's just what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna give a coach, he got to coach the guy, give him the guy he wants, and so that's where it is. So, right? Yep. Um, who would you want to be the quarterback until MPG? So me, man, I'm thinking outside the box. Go get James Winston. That's me. Go get somebody like James Winston. I can't think of nobody else, man. To be honest with you, um, I think Russell Wilson passed his prime. I would say honestly, I would say Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins wanted to be a starter, and he don't want to back up Michael Penix. And only way they keep Kirk Cousins, they would have to guarantee him he's going to be the starter, and they would have to restructure that contract. That's what they would have to do, and I just don't see him doing that. So I have no clue who they're going to put in, man. I mean, only good thing I can say is that Kevin Stefanski don't have so many different quarterbacks. I think, like I said, he put a game plan, you know, run the game with Bijan and timely throws and stuff like that. I think he can pull it out, man. A couple of wins before Penix get back. One thing we don't know, guys, is we don't know when Michael Penix is coming back, right? You know what it says like a 9 months timeline. Well, 9 months to put you at the end of July. Got here in November, so you count the months. 9 months put you like the end of July. So he could technically be back before the start of training camp, but we don't know, right? And but they still would have to get a quarterback for OTAs, mini camps, and things like that if he's not going to be back into training camp, right? But he could technically could start training camp healthy. So, like I said, we don't know the timeline, and maybe they do. They got a better understanding that he's going to be back in time, and then they could just go get really really good solid backup and be ready for Michael Penix when he comes back. So we just don't know that timeline. CJ has diminished since his first year. He has, man. It was crazy about it. They got rid of Bobby Slowick, right? That was his best year, Bobby Slowick, and then they got rid of him, and he ain't been the same since. Maybe shouldn't have got rid of him because remember he was a hot candidate that coaching cycle that we thought the Atlanta Falcons was thinking about going to get, um, but they end up getting Raheem instead, right? Bobby Slow was offense coordinator, and he's not been the same since. He said CJ isn't a playoff quarterback yet. He will be, remains to be seen. However, that is the only weakness that Houston have in the playoffs, is other than Houston can win a Super Bowl. You know the funny thing, CJ Stroud got 3 playoff wins. He got more playoff wins than Kirk Cousins. He got the same in the playoff win as Lamar Jackson. Right? So man, this numbers can really fool you sometimes, right? You like look at the playoff wins, but he's not even in Lamar Jackson's stratosphere, right? Um, yeah, he got more playoff win. Kirk Cousins got 1 playoff win. We gave him $180 million. Yep, we did that. Matt Ryan is happy man with a big smile on the face. Yeah, man, this is he in his new role, um, doing this thing, man. See how this thing pan out. He said Mahomes said that he will be back by week 1. Exactly. He got hurt like the second to the last game. Mahomes said that. So I know somebody told me that if Mahomes can be back, Penix can be back. So and Penix, hey, trust me, Penix got more experience in having torn ACLs than anybody. So he know his body better than anybody. So he could be back, man, by May. Never know. All right. He could pull a Adrian Peterson. Remember Adrian Peterson came back and almost broke the rushing record after torn the ACL. So it could definitely happen. It could definitely happen, guys. But guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hey man, it's been a busy week, man. I've been on here every day talking about Falcons. I love doing this. I love doing this, man. Talking about our team. Um, like I said, this is an exciting time of the year, especially with newness, right? We're not looking back and say what we got to fix. It's the unknown, right? And it starts with this off season, right? Because we don't know what to expect, man. We don't have an idea of the mindset of the front office, right? We already see differences though, right? We see the, the them taking their time, going through this process, making sure they get everything right. I like that. I really do. Um, the being able to make sure that they're talking to the best of the best. Right? Look at these GM candidates, man. It's really good, right? You like that. Kevin Stefanski, to most people, he was the second best option in the hiring cycle behind John Harbaugh, right? Of course, Sean McDermott got there now, so that's the word on the street. I know a lot of people don't like it, but most football people that I've heard saying this is a really, really good hire for Atlanta Falcons based off what he does on the offensive side and the players that we have on offense. So there you have it, right? Tommy Reese, we're gonna see what he can bring to the table. We already got Bill Callahan. We kept Jeff Ulbrich. Right now, I love the direction that the Atlanta Falcons going in. It's off season. Haven't played the game yet. We ain't even heard the guy speak yet. And maybe we even get more insight once we hear what he had to say. So there you have it. Thank you, T. Terry. All right, man. So there you have it, guys. Hey, I'm sorry to go on a whole little tangent about Falcon fans, man, but I had to go there, right? Because don't come to games, don't do all that. The real fans gonna be there, like we always have been there over the years. And when we start winning, we're gonna welcome you guys back, like we always do over the seasons. So there you have it. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.